Good afternoon, it's Hiker Dude Dad, and I'm here at Washington Crossing State Park. Near this spot is where Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas night, 1776, the eve of the Battle of Trenton. So George Washington needed a win, okay? The Americans were getting pushed back out of New York, out of New Jersey, back into Pennsylvania. It was a cold winter. His men beaten, tired, exhausted. Many of them, their enlistment time was coming up. They were anxious to go home. A lot farther south is Valley Forge. They were holed up there for a while. Finally, they got some reserves to join them here from Rhode Island and a couple other New England states because those guys got whooped and ran down here. And anyway, once they got those reinforcements, it was time to hit the British back. On Christmas night, December 25th, they crossed the Delaware here at a place called McConkey's Ferry. Washington's men, the plan was to cross the Delaware here and march 10 miles to Trenton and catch the Hessian mercenaries off guard before sunrise the day after Christmas. So they partied. They were, probably going to be drunk, hungover, or whatever day after Christmas. So Washington's plan was to hit them then when they were at their weakest. Love it. Looks like there are some boats tied up over here. So that attack began 10 days that turned the war in the favor of the Americans. We'll talk a little bit about this. Straight across is also Washington Crossing State Park. We are in the Pennsylvania State Park. That is a New Jersey state park, also called Washington Crossing State Park. So both sides celebrate the crossing. In a bit, I'm going to cross the Delaware as well, but it's going to be on that bridge, not in a ice jam, clogged up, freezing river. But here near the bridge, they have a lot of remnants from what Washington Crossing was back in the day. Blacksmith shop and other old buildings here. Blacksmith is straight ahead here. So here's a couple Durham boats strapped up here. That is what they used to cross. They're a cargo boat developed in Pennsylvania by Robert Durham. And you've seen, well, there's a horrible glare on this, but I think you've seen the picture of George Washington crossing with his leg up there like Captain Morgan, crossing on a Durham boat in the ice-jammed river. So there's two of these in here. There's a rope across here. I think they want you to stay out. So here you go. The crossing begins at 4 p.m. on Christmas Day. 2,400 troops, 18 cannons, baggage, and 50 to 75 horses. The next morning, December 26th at 4 a.m., they've crossed the river several hours later than expected and marched towards Trenton. 6 a.m., Washington divides his troops for a two-pronged attack on Trenton. At 8 a.m., the day after Christmas, Washington's party was just outside of Trenton. He pointed to a nearby house, ordered the men to open fire. The Battle of Trenton was on. By 9:30 a.m., the Battle of Trenton was over, an hour and a half. Surprise attack. Washington kicked the Hessians' butts out of Trenton, captured 900 Hessians and left about 100 of them dead. Very efficient. Minimal casualties for the Americans. So this town was called Taylorsville when Washington crossed. But then after that was renamed Washington Crossing. The stone building in front of us there is the McConkey McConkey's Ferry Inn. That was McConkey's Ferry is where Washington chose to cross here. So already a ferry set up. On the other side there's Johnson's Ferry operated, so they went from one to the other. Alright, so found a spot here where a couple of these boats are tied up here. Doesn't look that far, but there was a heck of a storm when they tried to cross. There were ice jams, a couple of all down the river heading that way. More troops tried to make the crossing as well. Some of those were turned back just because of ice jams, and the river was just too congested to cross. There was a blizzard that night then too, so after they landed on the other side, they still had to again hike 10 miles to Trenton in a sleet, freezing rain, snow driving blizzard. So rugged. Walking towards the visitor center here. Got state flags for all the colonies here. Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, Georgia, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maryland, South Carolina, Virginia, New Hampshire, New York, Virginia, North Carolina, Rhode Island, and I guess they had an odd number, so here's Betsy Ross's flag, the circle of stars. Alright, so going over the bridge here to New Jersey. Great bridge. So, yeah.
Welcome to New Jersey.
Thank you. Good to be here. Alright, so we're on the New Jersey side now, looking over at Pennsylvania. This crossing started 10 days that would turn the tide of the war. So Washington crossed Christmas, the day after Christmas, beat the Hessians at Trenton, forced them out of there. Just as important as that famous Battle of Trenton is what happened after that. On January 2nd, after they forced the Hessians out, Washington's troops went back to Pennsylvania to reload, rearm. On January 2nd, they crossed again, and there was a second Battle of Trenton, where Washington defended the city from General Cornwallis of the British. He then withdrew and attacked Princeton, New Jersey. The Continental Army then moved on and took Morristown, New Jersey, and pushed the British out of New Jersey, and that's what turned the tide of the war. At that point, Washington lost New York, got chased back into Pennsylvania, but this push here, bolstered by some New England troops, really helped them get back on track. Alright, so huffing a little bit here, but we're still in New Jersey, still in Mercer County here. This is an overlook. It's now known as Goat Hill Overlook, but for years was known as Washington's Rock. Guess that's it, but good views looking north along the Delaware River here. Both Washington and the British General Cornwallis used this overlook to spy on each other at certain points during the war. We're just north of Washington's Crossing State Parks. So this was close. I saw it on the map. It said Overlook, so you know me, decided that we had to get here. One last note on Washington Crossing State Parks. They have a national, the Pennsylvania side definitely has a national park feel to it, and there's good reason for that. Washington Crossing State Park was created on July 25th, 1917. In 1953, Washington Crossing State Park transferred to the Department of Forests and Waters. During 1961, the park was declared a National Historic Site. So on the Pennsylvania side, its name is still, some of the signs did say Washington Crossing Historic Site or National Historic Site. So some of the signage still says that. During 2015 though, Washington Crossing returned to the DCNR's Bureau of State Parks. So it definitely has it's a National Historic Site, but it is run and controlled by DCNR. I saw 2 pickup trucks from them over on the Pennsylvania side. But figure the New Jersey side of Washington Crossing Park was a little crowded, so I figured I was coming up here anyway, so I'd wrap up Washington Crossing State Parks and combine them with this Goat Hill or Washington's Rock Overlook. Hey, if you like what I'm doing, there's more state parks to come. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Thank you for coming along on this historical trip down history, something like that. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. I'm beat.